to Heart of Economy, the place where noise ends and insight begins. Every week, we peel back the layers of global finance to understand the forces shaping markets before the headlines do. If you are an investor, a strategist, or just someone who refuses to be blindsided by the next crisis, you are in the right place. Before we jump in, do me a quick favor. Tap subscribe, hit the bell icon, and become part of a community that's watching what really matters: policy shifts, market psychology, macro signals, not just price charts and panic. Because here we don't follow the herd, we track what the herd doesn't see coming. Alright, let's get into today's deep dive. Something is brewing beneath the surface of the US economy. Inflation is down but not gone. Job numbers look strong but cracks are forming. The Fed sounds confident but its decisions are getting harder by the day. And then came a quiet comment from Austan Goolsbee, one of the most respected voices inside the Federal Reserve System. It barely made headlines, but it might be the most important signal we've heard this quarter. Because if Goolsbee is right, this isn't the end of the inflation story, it's act. And the next move might not be a soft landing, but a collision. On June 3, 2025, in a quiet, somewhat overlooked interview, Chicago Fed President Austan Goolsbee made the following statement. Thus far, the impact of tariffs has not been what many feared. If we don't see inflation from these tariff increases, then in my mind, we never left the golden path. Let's unpack this. First, what's the golden path? Is the Fed's dream scenario: inflation cools, the job market stays healthy, and growth continues gently. And Goolsbee is saying, so far, it looks like we're still on that path. But here's the catch. He adds that could change fast. Because tariffs are notoriously delayed in impact. They don't hit like a hammer, they seep in like smoke. And what he's implying is this: the inflation we dodged in Q2 may just be waiting for the fall. Here's why this isn't just academic. Tariffs are like a slow release bill. First, they raise input costs for producers. Then, weeks or months later, those costs get passed to retailers, then consumers. Right now, we're seeing something that should worry everyone. The producer price index is ticking upward. The consumer price index is still soft, but the gap between them is getting narrower and faster. What that means is simple. The next inflation wave may be already in motion, you just haven't felt it yet. And when it hits, it'll be too late to stop with monetary policy. Because you can't fix inflation overnight. Especially not when the Fed is boxed in by politics and recession fears. Now, let's talk about what Goolsbee is really warning us about. Not just inflation, not just slowdown, but both at the same time. That's stagflation, and it's the Fed's nightmare scenario. In the 1970s, the US learned that stagflation breaks everything. Stocks, bonds, jobs, growth, policy tools, all fail at once. Why? Because you can't raise rates to fight inflation without killing what little growth remains. And you can't cut rates to help the economy without feeding the inflation part. You are stuck, and if tariffs push us in that direction, the Fed may have to choose between credibility and survival. So, what does all this mean for markets and portfolios? In short, volatility. If inflation returns, long bonds will collapse in value. If growth stalls, equities could flatline or plunge. If the Fed does nothing, it looks weak. If it acts, it might act too late. Commodities become interesting here. Gold, oil, even industrial metals, they tend to dive when everything else jogs. We may also see capital rotate globally to economies less exposed to US consumer cycles. But the real play here is defense. Preserve liquidity, stay nimble, avoid extremes. As someone who's tracked global macro trends for over a decade, here's how I interpret Goolsbee's message. He is not telling us everything is fine, he is telling us we've been lucky for now. But tariffs, politics, and consumer sentiment can flip that luck overnight. And when they do, markets will look back and say, why didn't we see the warning signs? Goolsbee just gave us one. Whether we listen is up to us. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think the US is still walking the so-called golden path? Or are we approaching a moment where our options are bad ones? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll read and respond to as many as I can. Like this video if it gave you a new way to see what's ahead. And subscribe to Heart of Economy because here we prepare for risk before it arrives. Thanks for watching, stay informed, stay rational, and I'll see you on the next one.